The UNESCO World Heritage List is comprised of outstanding natural and cultural sites from almost 200 countries. They are recognized as the heritage of all humankind. Since 1990, 7 Ukrainian sites, places of worship, residences, and old-growth forests belong to the World Heritage List. Besides, another 3 elements have been added to the representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity. Ukraine is among the countries on the UNESCO World Heritage List. This means Ukrainian architecture, songs, ceramics, and old-growth forests, outstanding cultural and natural riches, belong to all generations of humankind. Here are 10 Ukrainian sites and traditions under UNESCO's protection. These 10 listed items showcase Ukraine's cultural wealth. Item number 1, the historic city center of Lviv and St. Yura Cathedral. Europe's architectural and cultural traditions have left a noticeable mark on Lviv, and yet the city also retains authentic Ukrainian traditions. Lviv was founded during the late Middle Ages and became a thriving political and commercial hub thanks to its favorable location. The oldest part of the city consists of the Castle Hill, with the remains of the castle itself, and the surrounding network of streets and squares that formed from the 13th to the 17th century. Lviv city center is a harmonious combination of places of worship, public buildings, and dwellings in the Renaissance and Baroque styles. UNESCO recognized Lviv as a World Heritage Site as the city is a remarkable example of urban planning, where the architectural and cultural traditions of Eastern Europe are interwoven with those of Italy and Germany. The city is home to a range of ethnic groups, which form separate yet interdependent communities. A little further from the city center, on top of a hill, is the Baroque architectural ensemble of St. Yura Cathedral. Built in the 18th century, the cathedral combines the features of the Eastern and Western European architectural and artistic traditions. It was once the center of the Ukrainian Greek Catholic Church. Item number 2, Petrykivka painting. Petrykivka decorative painting is a type of folk painting that originated from the village Petrykivka in Podniprovia. The people of Petrykivka decorate their walls, crockery, and other household objects with imaginative floral designs inspired by the local nature. Flowers and birds are the most widespread ornaments, while birds, animals, and humans are quite rare. In the 1930s, Petrykivka craftswomen established a workshop in Kyiv. They began painting porcelain on an industrial scale, applying the color to non-traditional black background. A specialized art school was opened in Petrykivka. Today, the village is home to the Petrykivka Folk Art Center, where visitors come to learn and engage with the artists who carry on the tradition. In 2013, Petrykivka painting was added to the list of intangible cultural heritage of humanity. Item number 3, the Cossack songs of Zaporizhia and Podniprovia. The traditional songs that were sung by the Zaporizhian Cossack are on the list of intangible cultural heritage of humanity. They require immediate protection. The drawn-out melodies are mainly performed by groups, mostly without musical accompaniment, occasionally with a bandura, a traditional Ukrainian plucked string instrument. These songs were traditionally performed by men. These days, they are more often sung by women. They tell of the Cossack campaigns and battles, the lives of Cossack chieftains, and relationships between Cossacks and women. However, not all songs about Cossacks are considered as traditional Cossack works. The Cossack songs are mostly performed by the amateur folk ensembles of Podniprovia, as well as individual performers and informal groups who gather from time to time on major holidays. Most of the performers are over 70 years old and have been singing this way for most of their lives, preserving this link with the past. The tradition is passed down from generation to generation. However, due to breaks in this continuity and the decreasing numbers of performers, the songs need to be recorded and preserved for future generations. Item number 4, the wooden churches of the Carpathian region in Ukraine and Poland. 16 valuable wooden churches, half of which are in Ukraine, the other half in Poland, are recognized as part of UNESCO World Heritage. These are the best preserved wooden churches in the Carpathian region, built in the traditional style with horizontal logs. Since they have been repaired over the years using traditional methods, they have retained their authenticity. These buildings can tell us a lot about the local construction methods and the history of the region. The churches reflect the architectural styles of the regions where they were built, showcasing the Hutsul, Halich, Boyko, and Lemko traditions. For example, the 15th century wooden church of St. Yuri in Drohobych, near Lviv, is famous for its unique frescoes and iconostasis. Besides religious motifs, there are floral decorations and compositions from everyday life. They reflect the way that the citizens of medieval Halachina saw the world. Item number 5, the Struve Arc. The Struve geodetic arc was recognized as an object of outstanding value to humanity. It is a chain of survey triangulations that made it possible to establish the size and shape of the planet almost exactly. It was established over a 40-year span in the 19th century and named after an astronomer and geodetist of German origin. The arc stretches for almost 3,000 kilometers through 10 countries, from the coast of the Barents Sea in Norway to the shores of the Black Sea in Ukraine. It consists of more than 200 main station points. 34 of the best preserved points are on the UNESCO World Heritage List. 4 of these are in Ukraine, 3 in Podillia and 1 in Bessarabia. These measurements were used by scientists until the end of the 20th century. It became possible to fine-tune them using research carried out by satellites. Item number 6, Kyiv ceramics. The tradition of Kyiv painted ceramics evolved in Kyiv and other nearby villages. Ceramic pieces covered in white clay are painted with 3 colors, green, yellow, and brown, symbolizing mountains, the sun, and the earth respectively. The motifs on toys, dishes, and tiles depict the Hutzul's history, life, folklore, beliefs, and traditions, as well as the flora and fauna of the region. You can admire Kyiv ceramics in multiple exhibition halls of Hutzulshchina museums. The tradition of Kyiv painted ceramics is being kept alive and developed by small-scale producers and private workshops. Kyiv College has its own department of artistic ceramics. Several of the museums in Hutzulshchina have exhibition rooms dedicated to this art. Item number 7, Kyiv-Pechersk Lavra and St. Sophia's Cathedral. In 1990, these became the first places in Ukraine to be added to the UNESCO World Heritage List. The majestic gold-domed monastery of Kyiv-Pechersk Lavra is a distinctive feature of the Kyiv skyline. It was founded by Yaroslav Mudry, Yaroslav the Wise, during the golden age of Kievan Rus. The Lavra consists of 2 unique underground complexes, monastic buildings, churches, and bell towers surrounded by defensive walls. For a long time, the complex was among the most important Christian cultural and pilgrimage centers of the world. The Lavra still holds church services. There are working churches, a monastery, the Kyiv Theological Academy, and the residence of the Metropolitan, the head of an ecclesiastical part of the Ukrainian Orthodox Church. The area also belongs to the National Kyiv-Pechersk Historical and Cultural Reserve. There are several museums on the site, with collections that include ancient manuscripts, icons, works of embroidery, and etchings. Like the Lavra, St. Sophia's Cathedral was erected in the 11th century, right after the Christianization of Kievan Rus. It is one of the key monuments of architecture and monumental art of the period, influencing the design and decoration of churches across Eastern Europe. Until the 13th century, it was the main cathedral of the capital of the Christian Principality. St. Sophia's Cathedral and the adjacent monastery complex combine features of the Byzantine and Ukrainian Baroque styles. Their ancient interiors have been preserved, along with the largest collection of mosaics and frescoes of that period. Today, the territory belongs to the Sophia Kyivska National Reserve. Item number 8, the primeval beech and old-growth forests of the Carpathians. Ukraine is particularly rich in natural heritage. The primeval beech forests of the Carpathians are on the UNESCO Heritage List, covering extensive areas of forest across 20 European countries. In Ukraine, 15 sections of forest belonging to biosphere reserves and national nature parks were added to the list. The primeval beech forests are an example of untouched ecosystems in the temperate zones, providing a valuable genetic pool for the European beech tree. Forests like these used to cover 40% of the surface area of Europe. Thanks to reserves such as these, researchers are better able to study the evolution of beech and other plants from this particular geographical area. Among the forest sites on the heritage list, these forests are home to particularly unique flora and fauna, especially species that have adapted to live in caves. Item number 9, the residence of Bukovyna and Dalmatia Metropolitans. The official name of the site might not ring any bells, but Chernivtsi National University is on many people's must-see list. Academic premises were set up here in the middle of the 20th century. However, the architectural complex was constructed in the times of the Austro-Hungarian Empire as the center of the Bukovina Orthodox metropolis. The residence consists of 3 monumental buildings: the Metropolitans building, the seminary, and the monastery, and an arboretum. It represents a remarkable synergy of classical architectural styles as well as the art of local ethnic groups. The complex was built using only locally sourced building materials. This grandiose building project contributed to the development of production facilities in Chernivtsi, a masonry conveyor, 2 brick factories, and a ceramics factory. The bricks were subject to a meticulous quality control process, including a sound test. Visitors to this UNESCO site can take a guided tour available in various different languages. Item number 10, Tauric Chersonese and its Chora. Over 2,000 years ago, in southwestern Crimea, on the site of the modern city of Sevastopol, a fascinating city was founded, Tauric Chersonese. Even today, you can see the remains of this ancient city-state, or polis, as well as its agricultural suburbs, or Chora. In 2013, it was unanimously voted onto the UNESCO World Heritage List. Tauric Chersonese was a classic Greek polis and an important political and economic hub in northern Prichornomorya. It was also a cultural crossroads for the Greek, Roman, and Byzantine empires. At the time of the Russian occupation of Crimea in 2014, the Tauric Chersonese Museum, an archaeological site, housed over 200,000 exhibits discovered during the excavations. These include the remains of the defensive walls, residential areas, and artisan workshops. Due to military and commercial use of the site under Russian occupation, the World Heritage Site of Tauric Chersonese is threatened with destruction. UNESCO is an organization that seeks to promote peace and security through international cooperation in the fields of education, science, and culture. Its programs focus on areas that include access to education, international scientific cooperation, the preservation of tangible and intangible heritage, and the free flow of information. As a UNESCO member state, Ukraine is bound to move consistently towards the goals set by the organization. We have a lot to develop, preserve, and admire.